What's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. Today, I wanted to give you 3 tips on when you're starting your Pokemon business. So for those of you who don't know me, welcome to my channel. I was a Pokemon business owner for around 18 months. Started when I was an MBA student, needed a little extra money. Did 18 months, graduated my MBA, got a new job, and kind of put that on the back burner. So I really wanted to go through 3 key things that I learned during my time as a full-time Pokemon business owner. And let me tell you right off the bat, it is not as easy as it sounds. It certainly isn't as simple as looking through eBay, looking at the latest news. There's a ton of work that goes into it. Honestly, I spent more time on Pokemon than I do my real job now. So the number one thing I'm going to talk about today is doing your own research. Now, I'm sure you've heard that phrase a million times if you're into stocks, if you go to business school, any of those things. Doing your own research is certainly one of the top things that people will tell you. But doing your own research is no easy task. There is not a lot of data out there. There's not a lot of how-tos out there. And honestly, I was kind of like in the deep end. When I first started out, I solely focused on Japanese. And I still do to this very day. I'm really only Japanese orientated. But that market has definitely become saturated. So that's the first thing under research is knowing your market. Because if you are in a very, very saturated market and you're just starting out, you only have 10 followers on Instagram, 10 subscribers on YouTube, it's going to be really difficult to find your audience. For me, it was not difficult at all. When I first came in, I already had a huge love for Japanese Pokemon. It's what I collected as a kid. It's what I collect now. And when I looked online for it, there just was nobody selling Japanese product. It was really only me that was doing it at the very beginning that I knew of. I'm not saying I'm the only person. I'm saying that at the very beginning, I think there was one store in the USA that I was buying off of that I could find that was selling Japanese product. It was just very hard to get Japanese product in America. And that's why I decided, hey, I'm going to start this because there's a hole here. There's a huge market gap where I can essentially plug myself into and fulfill a ton of people's orders. And that was all pre-Pokemon boom. This was all before, the huge surge in pricing, the huge surge in popularity. It was really kind of like a downtime in Pokemon almost. It was after the first evolutions came out, there wasn't a lot of excitement around. It was before kind of a lot of people who were kids at the time when Pokemon was around came back into it. But now, it's super, super popular. And that's another thing under doing your own research is knowing who your competitors are. You need to know exactly what they're pricing things at, what they're ordering, what you have to go up against, what their promos are. And by promos, I don't necessarily mean cards, although that is something, but promotions as in discounts, as in free shipping, all of those, additional things to get customers to come to you. And then you have to spend a ton of time researching all these new products that are coming out. And on my side of the Japanese side of things, there seems to be far more products that come out than English. And this took a ton of time. And I myself had to almost predict the popularity of the set that was coming out. I had to think, okay, how popular are these Pokemon? Are there any shiny Pokemon involved? Are there any unique arts involved? Are there any promos involved? How many legendary Pokemon are there in there? How many of the original 151 Pokemon are in there? There's a ton of things to think about when it comes to dictating how many booster boxes am I going to buy for the set? Because honestly, you don't know until it happens. And oftentimes, and I found this out the hard way, a lot of times I would think, okay, I think this set is going to be really popular. Not entirely sure. I'm only going to buy, 50% of what I usually would. That 50% will be gone by the end of the day when I first put them up, and I'd regret it heavily that I had, basically undervalued a set. Similarly, there's been times where there's been really poor sets in Japan. One example, and I cannot remember for the life of me what the set was called. That's how bad it was. But it had a Scorch on the very front of it. That one was so hard to sell. I had to sell for less than what I bought. I think I bought them for around $35, I'd like to say, each booster box. Ended up selling them for about $30, maybe even less than that when you add on all the shipping. Sold them for a loss because I just couldn't get them off the shelves. And I said to myself, it's better to have some money back than no money back. So that's the thing. You have to kind of predict how popular a set's going to be. For English, typically every set is kind of really, really popular. But for Japanese, you have to look at, and it's not just sets. I mean, it's promo cards. How cool are the promo cards? How popular are they going to be? How hard are they to get? There's so many things to look at. And I could make, 10 different videos just on looking at new products. And so that will kind of like wrap up the research side of stuff. The second thing that everyone needs to understand is burnout. I was so burned out after 18 months of not taking a holiday. And it sounds strange to say that because I really didn't actually have a real job, as, the boomers would say. But trust me, Pokemon business is extremely hard. Didn't take any time off. And, it's not something where you have a 9 to 5 and you have Saturday, Sunday off. No, Saturday, Sunday is probably like the busiest day for you. That is when a lot of the YouTube videos would go out. I would film, record. I would have to edit it. I would have to do all the SEO stuff. Then promote it on Instagram and Facebook and all the other places. And then it would be when all my new deliveries would come. I think UPS would always deliver like on a Saturday when it was coming from Japan. I would have to unpack everything, put it on the website, price it all out, look at the pricing. Has the pricing changed? The market pricing changed since, I first ordered it? Has it gone up in value? Has it gone down in value? How are my competitors doing? Did people get it before me? There's a ton of stress on the weekends. And then, Monday through Friday, for me, I had, studying and exams to do on top of that. But if you don't have that to do, you have to get all the engagement from potential customers. And then, the worst thing in the world is actually, packaging everything, putting everything in a penny sleeve, then put it in a top loader, then sealing it in a different pack, and then bubble mailers, and then printing off all the labels, and then fixing all the boxes and wrapping everything. It's a lot. Trust me, it is a ton. And like at the beginning, it's kind of fun. You get your first sale, you get your first 10 sales, your first 100 sales. You're really enjoying it. You love the fact that you go to the post office, you get your exercise in. But once you get to a certain point, you dread almost packing everything up. So burnout is like a huge thing because the last thing you need is having a huge clientele, a huge, amount of customers that come to you and you just not wanting to do it anymore. And that's essentially what happened to me. Once I got my full-time job, I was trying to combat full-time job as a new employee. So having to, learn everything. And then as soon as I clocked off at 5:30, it'd be straight into Pokemon until midnight. And I'd wake up first thing in the morning, do my Pokemon research. It was just very difficult. And I burned out super, super quickly. Burning out is like a regret almost, letting myself get to that stage, because I'm at the stage now where I don't get a lot of viewers on YouTube. Lose subscribers every day, lose followers every day. I've just not been consistent in being in the space. I took a whole year off. Burnout is a real thing, happens to everyone. And you just have to be prepared for it and to combat it. And the best way to do that is to have, a plan and a structure in place. When I was an MBA student, super easy. I was able to have a nice structure every single day. And then have time to spend with my girlfriend and pets and friends and whatever. And now it's like with a full-time job and then Pokemon on top of that, where's your extra time? It's not on the weekends. It's the busiest time. So it's very difficult to balance everything. And then the last thing is knowing what your scalability is going to be. So when you first start out on your Pokemon business, you don't want to go too big too quickly. Because do you have the clientele base? Do you just want to have, a cupboard full of 30 booster boxes just waiting there and nobody's buying them off of you? No, you want to start off small, build a reputation. And that's a big thing in Pokemon, not to get on another tangent, the 10th tangent of this video, but that's another thing in Pokemon is like trust. How many people out there are selling, resealed boxes, fake packs, fake cards, all of that kind of stuff. And then there's like the inverse of that. The inverse of having, you know, too many booster boxes waiting there is not having enough. You know, when do you expand? When do you, you know, start buying, instead of 20 booster boxes, maybe 25 or 30 or 50 or however many you want? That is super important because you want to grow as a business, obviously. You want to make money and enough money to put it back into the business. And like the burnout that I was just talking about, you know, I always found that I got to a point where I was packaging, you know, 40 boxes a day. And I was having to rope in my girlfriend to do some of the packaging for me while I was doing, you know, printing off the labels or, you know, doing the bubble wrapping part of it. She was creating the boxes. When do you get another employee? You know, it's you can only do so much yourself. And with Pokemon, it's not just a business where you're a store. You're also, you know, you got a social media presence. You have to do the researching. It's like, at some point, you have to get other people to help you. I had a good friend, a supporter of the channel. He offered to edit my YouTube videos. And that took a ton of stress off me because I would be able to just record and then send him the clips. And it was really nice of him to do that while I was at kind of like my peak. And I sent my girlfriend, obviously, to do the worst part, packaging. So the scalability. Can you do it from your house? Do you need to get a physical store? Do you need to get a warehouse, a storage facility? You know, there's tons of different things that you have to think about, and you have to prepare for. It's not something that should be happening and you being like, oh crap, it's happening, I need to do something about it. It should be a plan where, okay, month 1, it's almost like a trial. 5 booster boxes. Can I sell these for a profit? 5 of these, you know, promo cards, whatever it can be. And I know it's really hard to do that in today's market. And then after that month trial, okay, you know, in 3 months, we're going to go from 5 booster boxes to 15 booster boxes. And then in a year, we're going to target, I'm not going to be working from home anymore. I'm going to, you know, ship it out to a storage facility that I'll work out of. That needs to be like your plan. That needs to be figured out by you prior to it happening. And that's something I did not have, simply because I knew myself that I had a certain limit. But yeah, that's all I have for today. It was all over the place. I get that now that I've filmed it, but hopefully it was helpful. Hopefully it gives you an insight into like the craziness that is having your own Pokemon business, Pokemon store, Shopify store, whatever. And if you don't have it, hopefully you have like an appreciation from the guys that you buy from right now. There is a ton of work that goes into there. It is not all making money and playing with Pokemon cards all day. It is mostly sorting through stuff that is very tedious and boring. So don't be envious if that is what you think, because it is a ton of work. It is a ton of work. But thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it very much. And I'll talk to you guys again soon. Thank you.